Police Department here to give you the report for the month of May. The PPP did not meet this month. It was canceled, so we really don't have that many reports to give. Just some brief highlights. First of all, the Algoma Police Department is hiring for a part-time position. That closes this week, so if you know anyone who's looking for a part-time job as a police officer, please have them contact the Algoma Police Department. We will be doing a multi-jurisdictional hiring process for the cities of Algoma, Kewanee, and Luxembourg. For further information, just please contact us or the Kewanee Police Department. Just a reminder, it is summer, it's nice and warm, it's a beautiful day out there today, so we are doing code enforcement. So just as a reminder, make sure that you are taking care of your grass and weeds. Additionally, make sure you're not dumping any grass clippings or brush into the streets, that your vehicles are currently registered and operational, and last but not least, make sure you're not parking trailers, RVs, or boat trailers on the streets for more than 72 hours. Otherwise, you might get a letter in the mail or a citation. That concludes my report. Have a great day.
The Algoma Public Library Board of Trustees met on May 17th. I would like to remind everyone that we are back open full hours Monday through Thursday 10 to 7, Friday 10 to 6, and Saturday 10 to 3. We have a student from UW-Madison who will be here this summer for her summer practicum. Her focus is on children and teens, so she'll be working a lot with Diana and Braylin on the summer reading program. She will be here through July. In collaboration with the Kewanee Public Library, we are happy to announce that effective June 1st, overdue fines will not accrue on children and teen print materials, no matter what the age of the person checking out the materials. We are excited to be following the practice of many libraries around the country and removing this potential barrier to library services. As far as programming, we continue to offer many virtual programs and take-home kits for all ages. On June 3rd at 6:30 p.m., we will hold a virtual author visit with Wisconsin author Terry Sorg. Terry will lead us through an open discussion on anxiety, on the definitions, statistics, effects on the body, and strategies for managing stress, anxiety for adults and children. Terry is a retired mental health nurse, a person with anxiety, and the author of the Heart Fairy books. This will be held via Zoom and can be watched on our Facebook page. Our summer reading program begins on June 7th. People can sign up in person at the library or go to our website and can find out how they can sign up via an app called Beanstack to log their minutes. Many kits for all ages will be available throughout the months of June and July. Check out our website, our Facebook page, or stop in to pick up summer reading brochures, which will include all of our programming. Some upcoming kits to highlight include June 8th, we've got Butterfly Kit for families, June 9th, Bug Kits for children, June 10th, Book Folding Kit for all ages, June 16th, Pet Rock Tales Kit for children, June 22nd, a Zoo Stop Motion Filmmaking Kit for teens, June 30th, Salt Dough Leaf Bowl Kit for teens, and on July 23rd, we'll be hosting our annual outdoor movie at Legion Park at dusk, so watch for more information coming out on that. That concludes my report for today. Our next board meeting will be held on June 21st at 4 o'clock p.m.
Hi, I'm Jean Marsh from the Algoma Medical Center, and our last board meeting was on April 22nd. During that meeting, we discussed the PPP, Paycheck Protection Plan, that we currently have a loan out with. We've been waiting for word back from the SBA as to whether that loan will be forgiven or not. And so that was discussed at our last meeting. We will have an update for the board at this coming meeting tomorrow, May 27th. As far as new business, we reviewed the ethics and compliance plan that nursing homes are required to have as a part of the MEGA rule. And our board had just some requests for different types of reporting mechanisms that I will be providing to them. Otherwise, it's been a very quiet month, gratefully, and we are now looking forward to the summer and possibly having more family and visitors into the nursing home as a result of the relaxation of some of the COVID guidelines. I would encourage any community members that might have questions regarding visitation, please give us a call. We'll be happy to help you. And that concludes my report for the Algoma Medical Center for the meeting for tomorrow, May 27th. Thank you.
Hello, Pete Hawk from Algoma Utilities, here to report on our minutes from May 19th's meeting held here at City Hall. President Police called the meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. All members were present. That meeting held our internal organization election and all members stayed the same as last year, with Robert Police as our president, Lee Dashlet as the vice president, and Mary Kay Bennett as secretary, treasurer. Guy Hosh remains our representative on the planning commission, and that concludes the internal organization of Algoma Utility Commission. Old business, electric vehicle charging stations were discussed. Local businesses have shown interest in electric vehicle charging stations, and the utility will work with these businesses and share funding and grant opportunities as they become available. Information about costs and potential grants will be reviewed at future meetings. Lineman vacancy was discussed. Schmidt questioned if the staffing levels were re-evaluated, and Hawk explained the need for the number of linemen required for electric system work. The overall disconnection process was explained. Schmidt requested that all future vacancies be added to the agenda before advertising the open position. Conference attendance was okayed. Dashlet motion, second by Valise, to approve Chris Massart and Scott Wees at the Wisconsin Rural Water Association Outdoor Expo on June 24th, held in Plover. We do have our water main project coming up. Will be starting on first week of June. Should you have any questions on this project, please call us at the utility, and we will try to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
The Public Works Department met on April 20th. A couple of the key points that take away: all the new docks are in the marina now, and the marina is open for the summer, for the 2021 summer. We are almost to capacity. We have a couple docks left for slip rentals, but the majority of it is rented out. We discussed at our Public Works meeting the cleaning, emptying and cleaning of the secondary digester at the wastewater facility. That will be moving forward under contract with Suez. The big thing that we have going on that I've been talking about is the 2021 road and utility project that will start the first week in June from Fremont to Jefferson Street. Those 4 blocks will be complete relay of water, sanitary sewer, storm sewer. A good portion of the curb and sidewalk will be getting replaced, and then a new blacktop surface will go on that whole portion of that project. The beach groomer is here. We've been working down at the beach with the beach groomer quite often. We're going to try to get that to a point where we could possibly just operate it once or twice a month down there, and then in between operating the beach groomer, where we're actually picking material up and removing it off the beach, that we would just go down there with our regular drag to maintain the surface of the beach. Everything down there seems to be working very well. Happy to see that. And that's about all we have moving forward. Our next Public Works meeting will be June 22nd here at City Hall. I'm sorry, it will be at Suez at the wastewater facility for a couple of the new members on the Public Works Department, so they can get a short tour of the wastewater facility. And that'll be at 8:30 a.m. on June 22nd. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Sarah Robertson with the Parks and Recreation Department, and here are some of the highlights that we've been working on in the month of May. The committee has recommended approval for the comprehensive outdoor rec plan. The City Council will review the plan at the June council meeting and consider it for adoption. We'd like to thank all those who took the time to take the survey and participate at the public input section of the project. We are happy to announce that we are planning on opening the youth club for weekend nights starting June 18th. We have hired a full staff and will be doing training with them in the coming weeks. Youth attending the youth club will be required to wear masks. T-ball for 5 and 6-year-olds will begin practice on June 16th at 5:30 p.m. The program will last 6 weeks. If you're interested in this program, we are still taking registrations. The summer park program at Perry Field will begin on July 5th and will run for 6 weeks, Monday through Thursday from 12 to 3 p.m. Free lunch will be served to youth under 18 years old each day the program runs. We will be offering a free 10-week exercise program for community members 60 years and older starting on June 14th. You can call the youth club for more information. We'd like to thank the Friends of Crescent Beach, along with many volunteers that helped plant over 300 native plants in the restoration areas at the south part of the beach on May 15th. There will be a celebration of the 25th anniversary of the boardwalk on June 22nd at 6:00 p.m. at Legion Park. We encourage all to attend. The committee discussed ideas for a new sculpture at Christmas Tree Ship Point, in addition to the replacement of the landscaping that was damaged in the storms. We'd like to thank the street department for helping remove the asphalt bump out at the Evergreen Cemetery. The survey work that was done at the cemetery includes the development of 2 new sections in the West Field. The next meeting will take place on June 21st at 6:00 p.m. at the Algoma Youth Club.
I'm Jared Hine, City Administrator, and I will be reading the report for the council and various committees for the City of Algoma. The Common Council met on Monday, May 3rd at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. There was a public comment. Jackie Weiss, 619 Alpine Road, got up and spoke a little bit about comments which were made during a previous public comment session at a previous City Council meeting, and expressed her appreciation for the efforts that city staff put into serving the community, particularly as it relates to our public works functions and the work that they do to help provide a safe and healthy environment here for our residents and our community. Sarah Kraus of the Friends of Crescent Beach spoke on the planned ice cream social for the 25-year anniversary commemoration for the Crescent Beach, and that will be held on June 22nd of this year. So that will be coming up. Again, marking the 25th anniversary of the Crescent Beach Boardwalk. At our committee reports, which will be continued to be read in this format, but those are also available. The written minutes are available in the City Council packets for those. But again, we will continue to have staff reading these reports on a monthly basis. There was no old business for the meeting. Under new business, we had an introduction of Ken Weinog. He is our new executive director for the Algoma Chamber of Commerce. Ken got up and spoke quite a bit about his background and what he brings to the table, as well as some of the challenges that the city chamber members are facing, particularly in the light of the COVID pandemic. Some membership is a little bit down. And the biggest issue is employee recruitment and retainment, and that is a major focus of what he is bringing to the table, and a major part of what he's focusing on in his role as the chamber director. So we wish him the best of luck and welcome him. He also commented on all of the annual festivals that are usually going on that were canceled last year because of COVID are back, including Shanty Days and Soar on the Shore. Director of Public Works, Matt Murphy, gave a presentation on our tree cutting process and procedures. That was in light of comments that were made at a previous city council meeting during public comment. Basically walked through the process and what that all involves, of identifying which trees are to be cut down, how the property owners are notified, and what recourse they have to learn more information about that, and also what is done with the excess, or I shouldn't say the excess, the wood that as a result of cutting the trees down. So it was just a presentation walking through that. We talked about proposed changes to our ATV UTV ordinance. Back in December of last year, 2020, the December 7th meeting, the City Council Ordinance 831 established UTV ATV routes throughout the city. However, since then, it became apparent to us, and the Protection of Persons and Property Committee contemplated this as well, that there were some challenges with that change, specifically regarding signage. To put it simply, the way that the statutes are written is that the city would need to provide reasonable access to designated ATV, UTV routes, which would effectively, given Algoma's size, would effectively mean that every road and street in the city of Algoma would constitute reasonable access. And so the signage that would be required for a specific route would cost about $10,000 in parts and labor to install these signs. And so the discussion was had, given the cost with the signs and the fact that basically every street and every road would constitute reasonable access, that it made more sense to just allow the use of ATV, UTVs with some exceptions throughout the city. And so what that means is there will be signs prohibiting the use of ATV, UTVs, or I should say signs describing the prohibition of the use of the ATV, UTVs in city parks and on the beach. But they will be allowed on the street, and want to make it very clear that this is a more or less a privilege that the city is extending to users of ATV, UTVs, and it would be reconsidered if this is found to be abused by the public. So we're looking to get that, those changes have been made and they have taken effect. And again, we will have signs posted prohibiting the use of such vehicles at our parks and on Crescent Beach. I talked a little bit during this meeting about our lease agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers for the North Pier. This has been an ongoing matter for some time. I gave a little bit of background on why it's taken so long, several years, to go through this. But really at the heart of the issue was there are two separate agreements that the city needs to enter in order to essentially take ownership of the Pierhead Light. So the first is that we need to enter into a lease agreement for the North Pier on which the Pierhead Light is located. That would be with the Army Corps of Engineers. And so that would be a 25-year lease, and we would basically rent the land, no cost, from the Army Corps of Engineers. Following that, there would then be a transfer of ownership of the Pierhead Light from the U.S. Coast Guard to the city of Algoma. And so there were a couple of questions brought up, particularly focused on a desire to have a longer term lease than 25 years, because it is a relatively short time for what we hope is a permanent asset. And so following the council's direction, then I was to go back to the Corps and request a longer term lease. And then I will provide the update on that in the report for the Finance and Personnel Committee, which happened later in the month. Then we went into closed session, talked about a number of things, but then came out. I provided my report, talked about the April 6th election and wanting to thank specifically a number of our poll workers there. Gave an update on our CDBG grant and our application, which has since been submitted, and talked about the South Pier repair, which if you go down there now, you'll see that the Corps conducted a repair project. There's basically a 5-foot wide sidewalk going over what was probably the roughest patch of the pier. And that is a temporary fix until the Corps gets back out there and performs more permanent fix to that pier in the near future. And then at the time, we were still in process of meeting with some contractors to talk about the public safety building project. So with that, later the mayor appointed Mary Kay Bennett to the Utility Commission, as well as he appointed Sarah Kraus to the Redevelopment Authority. And the next meeting is to be held on Monday, June 7th at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. The Tourism and Promotion Commission met on Monday, May 17th at 1:30 p.m. here at City Hall. Not a whole lot on the agenda, but really wanted to focus on a couple of different things here. They appointed their officers for the new year as required. But some of the bigger items here, under public comment, they had some questions about public comment and posting of the agendas. And this is really a rule and a policy that carries across all of our groups, but just wanting some clarification here. So there's some confusion regarding public comment as far as when action can be taken on it versus when someone should speak, and specifically whether or not an item is on the agenda, and why we don't want people to be speaking under public comment on things later on in the agenda. Pretty complex discussion, so I won't get too involved with it here, but needless to say, we talked about it for some time, and clarified that. And so if anyone is ever wishing to speak to an item on the agenda, you are always encouraged to reach out to either city staff, the council members in your ward, or the mayor, and we can either put you on the agenda or specifically note your desire to speak on an item. And then they provided the financial report for the Tourism and Promotion Commission. And then there was discussion on when the meetings would be held. And there'd be some changes to how regularly the group will meet. And so the moving forward, the commission is gonna meet on the second Tuesday of the month from October through May. So they'll meet monthly on the second Tuesday from October through May. And then during that June through September part of the year, we'll meet as needed. And the reason for that change is, by definition, with the Tourism and Promotion Commission, it's made up of members who have work experience and currently operate businesses focused on tourism and promotion. And obviously that June through September window is their busiest time of the year. And so it's very difficult for that group to meet here in Algoma during that time frame. And so they'll meet as needed from June through September, but will meet regularly on a monthly basis from October through May, when the tourism season is obviously over or significantly reduced. And we had a follow-up discussion on the presence of Airbnbs here in Algoma, and a request for myself and the staff here to look more into what our options are to make sure that we're capturing the appropriate accommodations revenue from rentals such as Airbnbs or VRBOs and things of that nature. So the next meeting date is to be decided, unless of course meet as needed until October, at which point the next regular meeting will be October 12th, 2021 at 2:30 p.m. here at City Hall. The Community Development Committee met on Monday, May 17th at 6 p.m. over Zoom. Really only had some new business to go over. One of the items was an Algoma information packet. This was an item brought up by the Chair John Pavick, and he expressed his desire to have the city and the committee work with the Algoma Chamber, as well as potentially KCEDC, the Kewaunee County Economic Development Corporation, to create basically a Algoma information packet that would be geared towards potentially new residents and new businesses. Basically here's everything you need to know about living in Algoma. So if you move here to Algoma, if you're a resident, here's all the things you need to know. Garbage pickup, when does it happen, how often, all the different, the city council, when the meetings happen, the different committees, commissions, some of the local amenities, parks, things of that nature. And then for businesses, pertinent information for them. So permits, contact for whomever they might need with the county or the state, chamber information, basically just a packet that you can create for these entities to serve as a resource for them to go to when they are new to the community. There was also a review of the comprehensive plan. This was a very high-level discussion. The chair felt that it was appropriate for the rest of the group to make sure that they're aware of and familiar with, at least at a high level, of the city's current comprehensive plan, as well as wanting to kind of gauge what their level of involvement would be for any comprehensive plan updates, which typically comprehensive plans are considered to be good for 10 years, but really the best practice is to update them every 5. And so we will be due for that in a couple of years here, which we will be working on, not this year, but probably starting on that next year. And then finally, there was a discussion on the Algoma Farmers Market. Fellow Alderman Casey Brewer was present at the meeting, serving as the more or less the coordinator for the Algoma Farmers Market and kind of providing an update of when they're going to be held, what's going to be available there, because they're starting back up this year again now that we're hopefully here on the tail end of the COVID situation and starting to get back to some normalcy here. And so the farmers market will be continuing this year. So please feel free to contact Alderman Boer if you have any questions about that. And then I provided a brief update as under the administrator's report, mostly focusing on the CDBG application. Nothing, not a new substantive update there, other than that at this point we had applied for the CDBG Public Facilities Competitive Grant, and we'll know those results by August. And the next meeting will be Monday, June 21st at 6 p.m. The Finance and Personnel Committee held their regular meeting on Tuesday, May 18th at 4:30 p.m. here at City Hall. There was just one comment to go to a conference, and that was for myself to attend the WCMA, which is the Wisconsin City County Managers Association Conference, August 11th through the 13th, and that was approved. So I will be going to that in mid-August. Sarah Robertson, our Parks Director, and Matt Murphy, the Public Works Director and Marina Manager, provided an update regarding the seasonal hiring of, or I should say the hiring of seasonal staff at each of those facilities for the youth club and the marina respectively. And then there was a discussion on seal coating for Church Street and Fremont Street, and that will be brought before the City Council at their June 7th meeting. Basically, there was a recommendation from staff to the Finance and Personnel Committee that we perform some seal coating work on a portion of Fremont Street from Sunset to Evergreen and Church Street from Arlington to Greenfield. That will act as a temporary fix to greatly improve right now the road conditions. I'm sure everyone's very familiar with the not so great condition that those roads are in those sections. This will basically be like a chip sealing. So they'll put a coat of basically tar over it with some chips on it that will kind of help level out the street. It's a temporary repair. It should last 5 to 8 years. And the reason for that is because these roads are not currently in our 5-year capital improvement plan, but we also recognize the need to do something with these roads, given the condition they're in, that we really can't wait 5 to 8 years without doing anything. And so this fix is meant to more or less just get us to that point before we do a complete rebuild, reconditioning, or reconstruction of those roads. So that was approved or recommended for approval by the Finance and Personnel Committee, and that will again go before the City Council on June 7th. Then I discussed at quite some length. We are creating looking to create a police and fire committee that would basically just focus on disciplinary action for our sworn officers or firefighters. And I just wanted to make it very clear, and when I was presenting this to the committee, that this is not in reaction to any specific incident, just something that we identified as a need that we need to do. And there were some questions about some of the terminology in the proposed changes, specifically what it means to be a quote-unquote official. And so I'm working with our attorney on that to clarify that, and we will have before the Finance and Personnel Committee at their next meeting the specific ordinance language establishing this committee and clarification on what these terms mean, specifically official. So we know exactly who can serve on here. We're going to be looking to create a 3-person committee that will meet as needed. And so there will be more information on that forthcoming, again, at the next Finance and Personnel Committee meeting in June. I provided an update to the Lighthouse lease discussion. At the May Council meeting, it was requested that I go back to the Corps and request a lease agreement longer than 25 years. Basically, the short version is the Corps will not do a lease agreement longer than 25 years. And since then, I also have spoken with the building inspector to coordinate with him to actually go in the pier head light or the lighthouse to evaluate its condition and just be made aware of any potential significant issues, maintenance issues, under the, in the event that we do in fact take ownership of this structure, just so that we're prepared for what we might be getting into as far as maintenance costs go. So that'll be back before the City Council for the June 7th meeting for consideration to enter into the North Pier lease agreement with the Corps. And then following that agreement, we will then discuss the transfer of ownership of the structure itself from the Coast Guard to the city. And so this is only the first of 2 agreements. This is just renting the land on which the structure is located. The actual ownership of the structure will come later. We also discussed the lease renewal with Explore Algoma Adventures. They are the kayak rental company that operates out of Olson Park. The committee approved or recommended that we go forward with renewing that lease agreement with Explore Algoma Adventures, and we are working on that. And then finally, we talked about purchasing a new server that we are very much in need of here. Our server is past its useful life, and we had 2 different bids from a company, one for one brand of server, another for a different brand of server. Both would meet our needs, but we felt that there was a pretty significant difference in quality between the 2 servers. And so we had our IT consultant, Ryan Hoffman of FTS Technology, come in and speak to those differences and why we recommended one server over the other. And that was approved, or again, recommended for approval to the City Council to go with one of those servers. And so that will be before the City Council at their June 7th meeting, and we will be moving forward with that. And then later they scheduled a special meeting, which I'll be covering it momentarily, of the Finance and Personnel Committee the following week on May 25th. But the next regular meeting for the Finance and Personnel Committee is June 15th at 4:30 p.m. here at City Hall. Okay. Last one. The Finance and Personnel Committee had a special meeting on Tuesday, May 25th at 5 p.m. This meeting began at the fire department on 3rd Street. Started with a tour conducted by our fire chief, Tom Ackerman. Gave a tour to the Finance and Personnel Committee of the City Council. Walked them around, showed them the existing facilities as well as the deficiencies and the challenges they face with that facility. All in relation to the discussion we've been having on our public safety building project and keeping that moving forward. Following that, the committee and the staff present came back to here at City Hall, where then Chief Randy Remiker of the Algoma Police Department gave them a tour of the police department located downstairs. And then following that, everyone reconvened up here for a presentation from Robert E. Lee and Associates, Jared Schmidt of Robert E. Lee, kind of going over everything so far, where we're at, and what kind of the ramifications of continuing to move down the road of looking at this project, or recognizing the cost, which we found to be accurate after talking with a few different contractors, of about $7.5 million for this conceptual public safety building that was presented to the city back in last fall, in fall of 2020 by Performa. So there's a rather lengthy discussion on that, the implications to the tax rate if we borrow for it and over how long, and then more or less just looking for direction, if the committee wanted to continue down this path, or if we wanted to just stop the project here. The committee decided unanimously we are going to keep moving forward with Bayland Building as our general contractor, and so we'll be moving forward with them. They'll be designing the facility, and then we will continue to get a more accurate picture that we will then use that to go to referendum. But before we can even go to referendum, we need to have this more accurate design of the building, narrow down the cost estimate, to bring that to public information meetings, which we will be holding to inform the public about this more, and then ultimately bring it to referendum. We're aiming for the April 2022 election for referendum. And so that's where that project is at. You'll be hearing a lot more from us. And when I say us, I mean the staff, the city, fire department in the near future regarding those public information meetings. And so we encourage as many members of the public to attend those as possible, to learn as much as possible about this project, because obviously it's quite the big undertaking for the city of Algoma. And so that will be happening in the near future, this year, this summer and fall. And the next meeting date for the Finance Personnel Committee is June 15th at 4:30 p.m.